don't understand.
Do you think that we could come out of this with a kind of different more of a different world than we assume, rather than just, well, we'll come out of it and then we'll be back where we were?
I mean, I think especially the United States is, in for quite a change at the end of this. Although, Nariman, I have to accept that, I mean, if you look far enough down the road, Europe has longer-term structural problems. But I think the piece of it that will be the same is the emerging markets will come out stronger relatively. I think that's actually likely. And I think if I had to look in markets of where I think things are still in the process but are overshooting, just going way, way too far, it's in the emerging markets, their currencies, their stock markets, because the ground zero was the developed economies, not them, and they may come out of it.
Nariman, a final word here.
Just a couple of points. If you want a more optimistic view, I'm happy to oblige. And I think the way I would articulate it is pent-up demand. And that is to say there's pent-up demand on the part of businesses, there's pent-up demand on the part of consumers, households, in terms of homes, in terms of consumer durables. That's there. Now, everybody's scared, they're not spending, but that pent-up demand, and it's getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. The question is, when does that get unleashed, and could it come back very strongly? I think, from that perspective, we tend to underestimate that. In boom times, I think there's a tendency to kind of think that the business cycle's dead. This thing can go on for a while. Same problem in a bust, that we'll never get out of this. And I'm not saying either of you saying that, but there is a sort of a point of view about that. So you just have to be a little careful. On the longer term changes, pretty much agree with Ken, but I'll just add that I think part of the problem, as Ken and Nouriel mentioned, is a big factor was the global imbalances, which is to say what? Debt financed consumer spending in the U.S., and I talked about this on Monday, addiction to exports on the part of other countries, that has to change. More export-led growth in the U.S., less consumer-led growth, and vice versa in China, Germany, Japan, and so on. That's got to be a fundamental change. And I have to believe it will change, because it has to.
Right. Well, I think we've covered the global economy. We've covered the United States economy. I think to Nouriel, Ken, and Nariman, say thank you very much. We've learned a lot. I think you've given us a lot to think about. And I think you've given us what we needed, which is some clear perspectives and some hard-headed perspectives on the rocky road ahead and what the challenges are. And I think this view helps us bring into perspective what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. So on behalf of everybody here, thank you all very much.